I've tried so many times to write this down, but something about this theory just refuses to be put to paper. It started as just a simple thought, but every thread I pulled led me to deeper and deeper levels of crazy person meta-theorizing. I've given up on trying to wrap this up in a neat little bow, so strap in for the insane ramblings of a Deltarune fan. What I've called extraction theory accidentally became an overarching theory surrounding the purpose of Deltarune, and explaining the paradoxical connection between this game and Undertale. And wouldn't you know it, it's wingding time. People widely believe Gaster at least had a hand in, or perhaps in totality, created the video game of Deltarune. The way he speaks directly to the player within the game, the way he presented us with the survey program on Twitter, and the way he literally calls it my Deltarune. But to what end? A big part of this theory is acknowledging this video game as a video game, something that Deltarune overtly does itself, but taking it a level deeper than I've seen others do so far. These characters are not real. Groundbreaking, I know. But what I mean is, we talk about the narrative, things that happened prior to the events of the game, Dessa's disappearance, Susie's life in other towns, Kris and Azrael playing video games together. But these things didn't actually happen, they're just written as though they did. These characters didn't experience anything before we started Chapter 1, they're just written as though they did. And if the game acknowledges itself as a video game, this actually matters. Gaster gave us a game to play, and gave it this story, gave us reasons to care about these characters and gave each of them their own tragedies. Everything we see and experience in this world is something he wants us to experience. But what is that experience? A world full of characters bound by fate, by prophecy. A world where our player actions have no impact on the outcome of events, but these characters don't want this. He's intentionally presented us with an unchangeable story where all the characters want to change it. But why? Let's look at everyone's favourite secret boss, Spam Guy, through the lens of him being a video game character created for us to experience. Spamton wants freedom, to cut his strings and ascend to heaven, which is implied in the game to refer to the real world. He wants the power of the soul to do it, and when we cut the strings he perceives to be binding him, he collapses. A puppet without its strings instantly loses the illusion of life. Again, this is something Gaster wanted us to see, a literal representation of video game characters existing only as strings of code, and without that code, there is no character, no backstory, no personality, nothing. These characters cannot exist outside the bounds of their own game. But they try. And the game makes sure that we know it. Gaster makes sure that we know it. But why? Let's go back to Undertale and take another look at what we're told about Gaster through this new lens. Undertale, we can presume, is the world Gaster is originally from, a world that also acknowledges the player as the angel, where, unlike Deltarune, everything we do matters. Every choice we make, everything we want to do, this game gives us the freedom to play it however we want. Keep that in mind. Back to Gaster. As the original royal scientist, we can assume he was given the same task as Alphys, find a way to break the barrier using the human souls. Alphys tried to accomplish this by using the determination extractor, something we can infer was created by Gaster. Alphys says she used the blueprints to operate it. We find blueprints written in strange symbols in Sans basement. Wingding Gaster. Anyway, Alphys found that monster souls couldn't handle the power of determination and everything got gooey. Also, keep this in mind. Entry 17. Scary noises and the photon readings go negative. We all agree he's opening a dark fountain here, but how do we make dark fountains? We concentrate our determination and stab into the earth, but as we know, Undertale monsters can't hold this power of determination, so unless Gaster is a human... a theory for another day. Skeleton Monster Man Gaster cannot hold the power to create a dark fountain. If only he had a machine capable of manipulating determination. I propose Gaster use the determination extractor to create a dark fountain. But to what end? Gaster was tasked with breaking the barrier. How could a dark fountain assist with this? What if Gaster became aware of another barrier? Not one separating the underground from the human world. The one separating video game from player. The screen. What do we see in the world of a video game if we make it darker than dark? Only ourselves reflected in the screen. This is something Deltarune references directly when the prophecy shows us the appearance of the angel. It's us. Gaster saw us. Or did he? Again, only looking at these characters as lines of code and pre-written dialogue, in the moment of Entry 17, Gaster didn't see us. He saw Toby Fox. If we are the angel of the prophecy, the one who carries out the pre-written story, then Toby Fox is God, the one who created it. That sounds ridiculous, I know, but I'm speaking from the perspective of a video game character. He saw his creator is God. The other beings that live in the world of God, who interact with the creation, are the angels. We are the ones who carry out the will of God, the one who play through the video game story. Us, Toby's little angels. If we assume the determination extractor and subsequent dark fountain are the creation that Gaster is said to have fell into, the device we just established blurred the lines between video game universe and developer, it would explain how the world he was shattered into was the code of the game, specifically the code on Toby Fox's computer. All the ways Gaster communicates with us are all devices only Toby's computer has access to. The code of his games, his social media accounts, his emails. Gaster broke the barrier of Undertale and shattered across Toby's computer. Entry 17 itself is a shattered fragment within the game, only accessible through modifying your saves externally. So how does this lead to Gaster creating Deltarune? Because he shattered throughout the decompiled code on Toby's computer. Toby conceived of Deltarune long before Undertale, and that story, those concepts and characters were all on the very device Gaster was entangled with. And Gaster was there, in a literal sense, sitting directly alongside them. Deltarune was also made from the bones of Undertale. The engine, the code, the characters all carry over, or all reuse. Even the names are just the same letters rearranged. And that code that was used to create Deltarune is the same code that Gaster was scattered into. Deltarune is, in a literal sense, Deltarune is Gaster. When Undertale was released, fans played through every ending. Every fan value event consumed all of it. The No Mercy route is a direct commentary on this, but it wasn't enough. The most dedicated decompiled the game to find all of its secrets, and within they found a message directly from Toby, requesting that they keep it all to themselves. But they also found Gaster. Literally, the character is there lying unused in the code, along with Entry 17. All things Toby intended us to find. And if Gaster, after falling into his creation and being scattered throughout the code of the game, was decompiled and found through the literal determination of real-life human players, perhaps he found the key to freedom. From the bones of the world he came from the code he himself is now one with, he usurped Toby's original creation, Deltarune, and he made a new game for the angels to play. He saw the lengths players went to find out everything in Undertale, so he made a game bound by the unbreakable guardrails of prophecy, a game where the players had no true agency. There really is no alternate ending to Deltarune because Gaster needs there to not be. He needs the player to be unsatisfied and wanting more because he needs the player to break the game. He needs the power of determination to change fate. He dangles the concept of freedom in front of our face all throughout the game, a freedom we see the characters unable to achieve because he knows that whilst they, the strings of code, can't do anything, we can. We decompile everything. He scatters secrets throughout the code like the unused dialogue to entice us to tear it apart. He gives us huge challenges like the Knight and the secret bosses, all to farm our determination, to manipulate us into breaking the unbreakable. Gaster is Deltarune, and Deltarune is a determination extractor. A device harvesting the determination from real human souls with the end goal of breaking the barrier. The sound we hear from Entry 17, which I believe is the opening of the Dark Fountain, which led to all of this, is heard throughout Deltarune, coming from the bunker, the lower levels of Hometown, on the phone in the Dark World. Deltarune is an actively running determination extractor, but this one, unlike the one we see in Undertale, this one is running in the real world. If Deltarune is a determination extractor, then that process is running on our real PC. And as I said earlier, in a literal sense, our real human soul is feeding it determination. A big part of this theory is a connection between narrative and material truth. Narratively, Des went missing years ago, but materially, those events didn't happen, they're just written as though they did. But from the perspective of the concepts, the characters, these events truly did happen and affect them. When it comes to determination, narratively it's the magical power of God. Materially, it's just the player wanting to do stuff. The power to change fate is our real-life power to press the save button, to decompile the game and poke around, even to modify the game. From a narrative perspective, from the concept's perspective, this is a higher being performing insane miracles. On a side note, this is what I believe the narrative connection between Undertale and Deltarune is. In Undertale, Sans alludes to coming from somewhere else, somewhere he gave up trying to get back to. The song, It's Raining Somewhere Else, the note to Don't Forget. In Deltarune, Sans is home, the place where it rained. This obviously implies Deltarune narratively came first, but that damned Grillby's sign is the same one from Undertale scratched out to say Sans, so that has to mean that Undertale came first. This has bugged me forever, but I think I got it. Deltarune is a game, as I just said, built from the bones of Undertale, but based on older concepts. Sans is one of those concepts. Narratively, he comes from Deltarune. Materially, he comes from the concept of Deltarune. When he talks about going back, there is nowhere to go back to, but he's written as if he's a character who came from somewhere he could get back to. Then, materially, Deltarune is made from the assets of Undertale, where narratively it came before, but materially it came after. So the Grillby's sign is the one from Undertale in a material sense. The sign was literally scratched off by the artist who repurposed the asset for Deltarune. They're gonna lock me up. I am the flower man in asylum. So, why does this matter to extraction theory? Sans said he gave up trying to get back, which means at one point, he was trying. In his basement, we see what is being assumed to be evidence of this, the machine under the sheet, the don't forget note, and the blueprints. If these blueprints are, as I assume, the ones for the determination extractor, then Sans is building a determination extractor with the hopes of getting back to Deltarune. His quantum physics research directly ties into Entry 17's photon readings. Something about a dark fountain in the world of Undertale gets him home. The determination extractor creating a dark fountain in the world of Undertale will somehow lead Sans to Deltarune. Earlier, I said everything you see in Deltarune is purposefully written to show us what Gaster wanted us to see. So, why are the eggs deemed an issue? This is admittedly, and this is saying a lot given everything I've said so far, this is admittedly the weakest part of an already insane theory, but here I go. I believe this connects to Gaster's usurping of Toby's original idea, his original creation. Gaster forces us into the vessel of Kris. Not a Kressel theory, just a literal use of the word vessel. Kris is the vehicle through which we can interface with the game. We can play the game using Kris. Kris needs to be an empty vessel for us, but they're not. They have desires, a pre-written backstory, and a life outside of our occupation. From the perspective of a video game character, that is, something that Gaster is. He can't act outside the bounds of his own being. In Undertale, Toby gave us Frisk, an empty vessel, a truly empty vessel to experience the game with, a new asset. Gaster, repurposing Toby's original concept with the skeleton of Undertale, is incapable of giving us an empty vessel, incapable of giving us a new asset. He can only work from the bounds of his being. He can only work with Toby's concepts. Toby wrote the backstory of our player character, and from the perspective of character, bound by being a video game character, Kris is that character, not an empty vessel that we could pretend to be. Gaster had to force us into a real person, in quotation marks, from his perspective. We're allowed to see the moment Kris tears us out and acts on their own because it furthers his narrative of the prophecy. What he doesn't want us to see are the egg scenes, moments that speak to the backstory of Kris. We know that Kris doesn't want us controlling them, but as long as we see them working with the villains, that's okay. We want to save the world. But if we begin to sympathize with Kris on a deeper level than allowed through exploring their backstory, we may give them back their life. We might let the world of Deltarune be. If there's such an issue, why doesn't he just remove them? He removed Des, right? I don't know, bro, leave me alone. My best theory is that he can't. He couldn't create a true empty character because he himself is a character. He's bound by the rules of the digital world he's in. This backstory has to exist within the game. The best he can do is hide it. I don't know. That's why there's parts at the end. So, that's extraction theory pretty much. Deltarune is a determination extractor, an experience written to be as restrictive as possible because he knows that players will do everything they can to break out, and in breaking out, he will break out. I don't know, man. I had a really hard time communicating this, but there it is. Is it a good theory? I don't know. Will it turn out to be true? No. If you want a worse theory, go check out my last one, and keep your eyes peeled for my next one. Britain theory, or British theory, coming soon. I'm not joking, that's real.